My name is Dara Lytle, and this is my daughter.
My name's Maddy, and I'm 14 years old.
When Maddy was born, she was born prematurely. She was 29 weeks gestation. She was about 2 pounds, 15 ounces, and she didn't have too many complications. She was in the NICU for 8 weeks, and right when she was about to be released, the doctors did a bunch of testing, and when they did the testing, they realized that she had brain damage, and they realized that it most likely happened in utero, that she had a stroke in utero. And at the time, of course, I've never heard any of these words before. I'm just a new mother, and she's my only child. And they brought a neurologist in to look at her and let me know what would happen. And what they said was she could do everything she's doing now and no more, or she could have this condition with this stroke and have like a limp and you would never even notice. And would this be what she would be like for the rest of her life, or would she be like she is, which is walking and talking and seemingly like there's not much wrong with her? At age 1, actually, she was diagnosed by a neurologist with mild cerebral palsy on the right side of her body, and we began working with private therapists to gain that control. And actually there weren't many issues. She was doing great. She was starting to reach milestones. Even though she took a little bit longer, she reached all her milestones and she seemed to be doing wonderful. She started to begin to learn how to read at a very early age. I think she was about 3 or 4 years old when I was introducing phonics to her. Then all of a sudden, even though we were warned by the neurologist that there's a possibility of her having seizures, they said it would be before the age of 5, and she was almost 6 when she had her first seizure. To be honest with you, I didn't know what a seizure looked like. All I knew was the seizures I saw on TV, which were what are now called tonic-clonic. Another name for them is grand mal, and she was not having that type of seizure. What she did was made this funny swallowing sound, and I asked her what was wrong, and she was like off on the side of the bed, like on the floor, and I said, "Get back in bed, what are you doing? I don't understand what's going on." So I walked her to the bathroom, and she walked in front of me, and that's when I knew something's going on. And I wasn't knowledgeable about cerebral palsy at the time, and I thought maybe it's getting worse because she was kind of like slanted and walking, like bumping into the wall. And when I put her onto the toilet, she looked a little bit clenched up on the right, and I thought, oh, is her CP getting worse? This is so interesting. But then I looked in her eyes, and her eyes were all the way to the right. And I thought, this is not okay, something's very wrong. And I called 911 at that point. She wasn't making any sense. She was telling all these different stories and not very clear with what she was saying. And it turns out the type of seizure she has is partial complex seizures, or complex partial. And you can talk through them. You can walk through them. You can do all the things like I said she could do, like walk in front of me just a little slanted and things just kind of seem off. And it mostly affected the right side of her body. So that was her first seizure, and that's when I realized our life is probably about to change.